So in this video I'm going to teach you one of the variations used to make a buttonhole. So I've made a little sample just here for us that we're going to use, and I'm just going to start this off for us. So in the pattern it'll say to knit so many stitches and then do the variation of the buttonhole. So for my sample I'm just going to knit 3 stitches. And for the buttonhole we're doing today, it is K2 tog, cast on 2 stitches and then SSK. So what this is doing is decreasing 2 stitches either side of the buttonhole, kind of slanting them either way away from it, and then making 2 new stitches in the centre. So make a nice little hole for your button to then go through. So firstly I'm going to work a K2 tog. So I'm going to knit these 2 stitches here together. So I'm just going to go from left through to right, through the second stitch, then through the first stitch, yarn around my needle and pull those 2 stitches off. And you can see those 2 stitches are just kind of leaning to the right of our work, and that is the first half of our buttonhole. Next step is to cast on 2 stitches. So to do that, you just want to pop that needle down for a second, and taking our working yarn, I'm going to cast on 2 stitches. So to do this, I'm just going to wrap the yarn around my finger, or thumb like so. So I'm making a little loop, and then I'm slipping that loop onto the needle and just tightening it. So I'll show you that again for my second. So I am taking the yarn, just wrapping it around my thumb, making a nice loop, and then I'm just going to slip that onto my needle and tighten. And there you can see there's been 2 new stitches casted on. And then finally I'm going to work an SSK, so that is our final decrease for this side. So to do that, what we want to do is slip these 2 stitches to begin with. So I'm slipping them knitwise. So I'm working into the stitch as if I'm going to knit it, but rather than usually putting my yarn over, I'm just going to pull it off and slip it. Same with this one, so going into it as if I'm going to knit it, but just slipping it off. And what this does is it just kind of turns the direction of the stitch. Once I've done that, we then take the 2 stitches, bring it back onto our left hand side, so slipping them just back onto the left hand needle. And the final step is we're going to do another K2 tog, but this time we're going to work it through the back loops. So usually we'd go from front, left to right, knitting them through, but instead I'm going to go through the back loops. So I'm going to go right to left through the back loops, as so. So going in, right to left, through the back loops, yarn over needle and pulling those 2 stitches off. And you can see here we've had a hole form, and either side they're just facing away from the hole just to give it a nice shape. So I will just knit to end now. And you can see our buttonhole has formed. I'm just going to purl back along this row just so you can see it a little bit clearer. So we're just going to purl along. And then I got to the 2 new cast on stitches, so we just want to use them as we would normally. Just purl those 2. There we go. And then turn this round, and you should see our nice buttonhole here that's been formed.